So good news for the millions of people that are currently getting subsidies from the healthcare law known as the Affordable Care Act, or often called Obamacare. Now, the Supreme Court today finally issued a ruling on the case of King v. Burwell. If you remember, this whole case is about 4 different words in the basically in the Healthcare Act setting up the exchanges. The state shall not set up, or the phrase established by the state is essentially their argument that, well, does it mean the federal government or does it mean the actual state? Because if the state didn't set it up, then the federal government has no right to come in and offer these subsidies, which is a ridiculous argument. We said it was a ridiculous argument. It's obviously not the framing, what the framers originally tried to construct the law around. So it's essentially a big waste of time saying, look, it's a typo. So we can kill these subsidies because of this somewhat ambiguous phrase. Well, the court was not buying that. In a 6-3 decision authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, basically ensures that people getting health insurance in states that have not set up their own exchanges, but instead have either partner exchanges with the federal government, or having the federal government be able to set up their own exchanges for that state through healthcare.gov, they will continue to get their subsidies. And that is, of course, in 34 different states that had done this. So just imagine if it had gone the other way, people in 34 different states would have lost their healthcare subsidies, basically making the entire law fall on its face. It would no longer work because they would no longer get premium support, no longer be able to afford their insurance. It would crash the entire thing. That would, of course, be a disaster on many different levels and for a lot of people. Now, in his decision, Roberts argued that a ruling killing off the subsidies would, in his words, set the state markets into a death spiral, and that this could not have been the intent of Congress. Quote, from his decision, the combination of no tax credits and an ineffective coverage requirement could well push a state's individual insurance market into a death spiral. It is implausible that Congress meant the act to operate in this manner. The argument that the phrase established by the state would be superfluous if Congress meant to extend tax credits to both the state and federal exchanges is unpersuasive. Now, of course, Antonin Scalia, and I'm gonna get to some of his fantastic responses to this. Of course, was like, oh my God, you know what? You're just out there defending Obamacare, and I don't know why you're doing it. It's SCOTUS care. Well, it wouldn't be in this court so many times if so many people weren't trying to take it apart. And they've lost every single time. This is the most unsuccessful attack against any law I've ever seen. I mean, Congress itself has symbolically repealed it almost 60 times. How much more are they going to go? This is literally the last challenge that they can do. And of course, the most ridiculous one of all, trying to go after the law on a phrase. Ridiculous. And of course, who voted against it? Conservative Justices Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. Now, John Roberts, Chief Justice, actually ruled in favor of this, as I said, and he wrote the decision, the majority opinion on this, which it was surprising. I mean, John Roberts is very conservative. He's a conservative judge, but he has ruled on the Affordable Care Act several different times. So at least he's been consistent on this, which drives the other guys, especially Scalia, absolutely nuts. It's really hilarious. But hey, good news for a lot of people. Maybe now we can get past all the different challenges to the law. It is now law. It is set up. There's no more challenges. You can't possibly challenge it any longer. Now what we need to do, instead of trying to defend the whole thing from ridiculous challenges from the conservatives, now we need to expand it. It's a good framework to start. Now we need a public option. Now we need a Medicare option. Now we need to expand it. Now we need to fix it because it's not a perfect law. There are some things that are wrong with it. There are some things, some people that it doesn't cover. It is a boon for the insurance industry. There are problems with it. Now we can get all this buffoonery, this ridiculousness behind us and actually start to fix the damn thing. To actually really fix it. To make it better. To expand coverage. To reduce costs. That's what we need to do now. That's what needs to be focused on. And finally, I think we can do that now. Since all these ridiculous challenges are over, now we can focus on that.